Cholo, cholo, cholo.
All right, guys. This is a thought ramp, very important thought ramp because it's a sensitive topics, and it's really questioning what we think about gay rights. Like, what do gay rights really mean? There's some laws being that are specifically SB-145 in California. It goes online on January 1st, 2021. It's already been signed by the governor, Newsom. So, get some coffee, like so, and listen to this video, see what I have to say, so you could be at least look into it more, because I'm gonna have the links in the description of all this of these laws that I'm gonna be talking about, and some of these references I'm gonna be talking about. Okay, so right off the bat, okay, so what is SB 145? Okay, so basically, from how I understand it, and it's kind of tricky because it's written in law talk, and law talk, that's why I need to hire a lawyer to decipher this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna speak in vulgar Latin so the people can understand what I'm saying. People, i.e., me. Okay, so basically, I was doing my YouTube research. You know how I do it, man. I was looking in the comments. I was getting it in real dirty. You know what I'm saying? And from what I understood, I actually understood it better in the arguments, and then I looked it up, and then I looked more into it, whatever. So this is from what I understand, and if I got it wrong, then put it in the comments. But this is how the gist of it is. If a minor from 14 to 17, okay, and an adult from 18 to 24, there's a 10-year difference, okay, for what I'm talking about. And before this law passed, it's a tweak. It's a tweak in how the judge has the ability to decide whether a convicted sex offender gets put on the sex offender registry or not. Okay, so there's a tweak. So before this tweak, this SB 145, from 14 to 17, 18 to 24, if that adult has vagina sex with the minor, then the judge can say whether or not that convicted offender gets put on the sex offender list, right? Okay, and if that adult had butt or mouth sex with this minor, then they would automatically get put on the sex offender list. Okay, so this is before the tweak, all right? Now, with the tweak that they just passed, now that adult can have butt, mouth, or oral sex, butt, mouth, and vagina sex, and the judge can say whether or not they are going to be put on the sex offender list. Okay, so, and just for the record, if you're a gay person watching this video, if you're an adult gay person having consensual sex with another adult gay person, or you want to have a consensual marriage with another adult gay person, that's none of my business. It's just none of my business. I don't have a problem with that. Some people do, some, may do, or whatever. I don't have a problem with that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about, does the judge have the right to decide if this adult from 18 to 24 should be on the sex offender list? Okay. So before the tweak, like I said, it was just vaginal sex, vagina sex from 18 to 24. Now, in my opinion, right, a 24-year-old should not be having sex with a 14 to 17-year-old. Vagina sex. That's I don't know about that. I have a problem with that. You know what I mean? That's, to me, I don't know about that, man. And actually, so just to bring it up, they actually have uh, a law in Florida, and I looked into it. It's called the Romeo Juliet Law. And what this says, that in 2007, it was designed to protect individuals from the sex offender list. The victim case must be between 14 and 17, a willing participant in the sexual activity, and no more than 4 years younger than the offender. The offense must be the only sex crime on the offender's record. This law does not make it legal to have sexual relationships with minors, but merely stops the accused from being held out as a sex offender in society. So basically, they're saying if instead of from 14 to 17, there's a 4-year gap instead of a 10-year gap. So that makes more sense. It's like if there's an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old and they have sex, consensual sex, then should that 18-year-old be put on the sex offender list? That's the gray area that's talking about. But going back, all right, because I'm gonna make a point. This is a thought rant. This is a lot of stuff that I'm putting together here, folks. The SB-145, they didn't do that Romeo and Juliet law. They didn't condense that 10-year gap. They expanded the 10-year gap to include anal and oral sex, to be for the judge to decide if that convicted person is going to be put on the sex offender list. Okay, so that's real talk, right? That's, so the argument that the Scott Wiener, which is the California senator who promoted this bill, and the people who are pro this bill, their argument is saying that if an 18-year-old male has sex with a 17-year-old male in the butt or in the mouth or whatever, should that 18-year-old be automatically put on the sex offender list? So that's their argument. But they're not talking about 24-year-olds. Okay? Because that's their argument, but they're doing a bamboozle. Because if they were really concerned about that, they would try to change the law to close the gap and make it more like this Romeo and Juliet law in Florida. Do you see what they did? They bamboozled you. Okay? So I'm gonna tell you how they're bamboozling you. If you have a child that's 14 years old, okay, and some 24-year-old puts their penis in their mouth or in their butt or whatever, or their vagina in their penis in the mouth, I don't know, whatever, they're convicted of a sexual offense. Okay. If the judge said, okay, they're convicted, but you know what? They don't have to go on the sex offender list. So you find out as a parent that this person violated your child, whether your child liked it or not, or whatever, however it gets framed, whatever. They violated your child because you shouldn't be having sex with minors in the first place. But they violated your child, and the judge says that person doesn't have to go on the sex offender list. How would you feel as a parent? That's what this whole thing is about. That's why people are mad about this, including myself. Like I said, if it was really about equal rights or whatever, how they're saying it, they would have changed it to a Romeo and Juliet law, like in Florida. But they didn't. They pulled a fast one on us. That's what they did. So even if you're gay and whatever, and an 18 and 17-year-old, whatever, then if you want to make that more fair, like I said, they should have changed it to something more like this Romeo and Juliet law in Florida, but they didn't. Right? So they're saying one thing and they're technically right in their situation, but they're not saying the whole thing, which is that there's a 14 to 24-year-olds. There's a 10-year gap. They don't really say that when they're doing their arguments, do they? Watch the videos of the people who are promoting this 145 or whatever. Watch the videos. Do they tell you, hey, you're 14-year-old, if that 24-year-old, if they're convicted and the judge says, hey, I don't want them on the sex offender list for X, Y, and Z reason, are you okay with that? Because think about it. Let's say this sex offender, right, they're convicted, they're not on the sex offender list, and they prey on minors, right? They prey on minors. What if they later down the road, they do another sex offense? But because they weren't on the sex offender list, nobody really knew. You know what I'm saying? No one can really at least ask them, like, hey, what was this sex offender shit? Like, what happened right here? Do you want a sex offender working in a industry where there's a lot of kids? Probably not. Why would you, why would you, you know what I'm saying? Why would you want that? Okay, now let me see. Now I'm going to show you whether you still don't agree with my viewpoint or not. I'm going to give you some more sauce, some more chile, all right? There was also, I watched on the comments, somebody brought up the Senate, the Bill 384, which was also proposed by this Scott Wiener guy, and it's a law. It's been passed, approved by the governor in October 6, 2017. And I'm just going to read you a little bit, okay? SB 384, Wiener or Wiener or Wiener. I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly. I don't really care, okay? I'm just saying. Keeping it real. Sex offenders. Okay, registration, criminal offender record information systems. Existing law requires persons convicted of specific sex offenses and certain acts of human trafficking for purposes of committing various sex offenses or extortion as specified, or attempts to commit those offenses, to register with local law enforcement agencies while residing in the state or while attending school or working in the state. Willful failure to register as required is a misdemeanor or a felony, depending on the underlying offense. Okay, so the existing law requires that the Department of Justice to make available to the public information concerning registered sex offenders on an internet website as specified. Existing law requires that information to include, among other things, whether the offender was subsequently incarcerated or another felony. Existing law also authorizes a person to file an application for exclusion from the internet website and establishes the requirements for exclusion. So they're basically saying what it was, existing law, right? Okay. This bill would commence in January 1st, 2021, instead establish 3 years of registration based on specified criteria for periods of at least 10 years or at least 20 years and life, respectively, for a conviction of specified sex offenses, and 5 years and 10 years for tiers 1 and 2, respectively, for an adjudicated as a ward of the juvenile court for specified sex offenses as specified. The bill would all allow the Department of Justice to place a person in a tier to be determined category for a maximum period of 24 months if his or her appropriate tier designation cannot be immediately ascertained. Hold on a second. Give me a break. Give me a second. The bill would, commencing July 1st, 2021, establish procedures for termination from the sex offender registry for a registered sex offender who is Tier 1 or Tier 2 offender and who completes his or her mandated minimum registration period under specified conditions. The bill would require the offender to file a petition at the expiration of his or her minimum registration period and would authorize the district attorney to request a hearing on the petition if the petitioner was not fulfilled the requirement of successful tier completion as specified. The bill would establish procedures for a person required to register as a Tier 3 offender based solely on his or her risk level to petition the court for termination from the registry after 20 years from release of custody. If certain criteria are met, the bill would also, commencing January 1st, 2022, revise the criteria for exclusion from the internet website. Existing law requires all basic information stored in state or local criminal offender record information systems to be recorded in the form or of specified data elements, including the disposition of the offense. This bill would require that information to include sentence enhancement data elements, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Did you understand anything I just said? Probably not, because I didn't. But the gist of it is that they wanted, this bill would implement a tier system, from what I'm understanding, a tier system for the sex registry. So after, if you meet those tiers and you do a petition or whatever, they can say, okay, well, after 10 years, after 20 years, depending on the situation or whatever, you could get your name off that sex registry. Okay. Is it a good idea for that? I don't know. What it does say is that it's possible for people to get off the sex registry sooner, or after, within a couple years, right? But let's think about. But okay, so that's Bill 384. Okay, so just hold your suspense on that. Hold your judgment on that, because now I'm building a case, guys. All right, I'm a Libra, so ya tú sabes, man. If I went into law school, I would have made a lot more money than I am now. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about Scott Wiener, right? He's the senator, California senator, who's, pretty much writing all this fucking shit. Now, if you go to Wikipedia, on the links in the description, there's a little section that says HIV and LGBT issues. I'm going to read you this. Get some coffee. I'm going to read you this little section right here, and I'm going to discuss it, okay? In 2017, Wiener originated 3 bills centered around HIV and LGBT issues. He co-authored Senate Bill 239, which lowered the penalty of exposing someone to HIV without their knowledge and consent from a felony to a misdemeanor. Wiener said that the laws had unfairly singled out HIV-positive people. The bill passed and was signed by Governor Jerry Brown on October 6, 2017. So if you knew you had HIV and you gave it to someone else, instead of getting a felony, you'd get a misdemeanor. All right? That's basically what that is. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Wiener co-authored Senate Bill 179 in 2017 to create a third non-binary gender option on government documents, which passed in 2018. So you can either say I'm a he, I'm a she, or a non-he, she, or whatever. I don't even know what that shit is, to be honest with you. But you have the option of having a third option, okay? whatever, okay, whatever. But we're going to keep going. Wiener authored Senate Bill 219 in 2017, which strengthened protections against discrimination based on sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, or HIV status for LGBT seniors living in long-term care facilities. The bill was opposed by groups who argued the bill criminalized bathroom gender designations and would force care providers to address those under their care with gender-appropriate language. Wiener called these arguments transphobic and absurd. I need to look more into that one, but apparently if you're a senior citizen living in a living care center or whatever, they would need to be more inclusive or something. I'm not really sure. I don't really know, okay? To be honest with you guys. As of now, I need more time to think about that one. In October 2019, Governor Gavin Newsom signed Wiener's legislation expanding access to HIV prevention medications, PrEP and PEP. Under the new law, pharmacists can distribute HIV pre- and post-prophylaxis without a physician's description. Okay, so whether that's good or bad, now the doctors don't have to prescribe those drugs, if those HIV drugs. Now you could just get it from the pharmacy. I mean, okay. I mean, all right. Let's keep going. 2019 and 2020, Wiener attempted to pass Senate Bill 201, 201, a bill that would have restricted physician and parents' ability to decide to perform reconstructive general surgery on intersex infants and would instead require the impacted child be old enough to decide to undergo surgery. The bill was opposed by the California Medical Association and other medical groups who said that they would not be able to apply medical expertise which would threaten patient safety. The bill died in the committee. I need more time to look in that, but I think what it's saying is that if you're a minor and you want to get a sex change, you don't have to get your parents' consent. So, I mean, one thing is coming home with a tattoo, but I mean, this guy's trying to say you could just come home without with a new sex organ. I'm pretty sure parents should be concerned about that. I mean, like if you wanna have a sex change when you're 18 and you're an adult, that's one thing. But as a minor, I mean, I don't know, man. Okay. Next paragraph. Wiener introduced Senate Bill 145 on January 18, 2019. The bill aims to amend sections 290 and 290.006 of the Penal Code relating to sex offenders. Wiener's stance on current Californian legislation is that current laws pertaining to sex offender registration unfairly target LGBT individuals, with Wiener's official website stating Wiener, quote, introduced Senate Bill 145 to end blatant discrimination against LGBT young people regarding California's sex offender registry, unquote. Wiener has received online harassment and death threats from what he says are conspiracy theories associated with QAnon who claim the bill protects pedophiles. Okay, so we're going to end that Wikipedia. All right. Whether you agree with some of the stuff that he's trying to push, I mean, that's your opinion, right? What your opinions are about those, okay? But as we can see, clearly see, obviously see, if you have a brain in between those ears, is that this guy has an agenda, all right? He has an agenda to, he has an agenda to really challenge what we decide is gay rights in the laws, He's really putting into laws, questionable stuff. And under his, under the banner of LGBT issues and HIV LGBT, there's clearly an agenda with him, that he's been doing it for a while. He's been doing it for a while. I would, if you're a parent, even if you're gay or straight, whatever, I would highly encourage you to look at some of the stuff, what's going on. Even if you have a child, I mean, I want to ask you, what do gay rights mean to you? If your child comes home with a different body part, or a sex offender can get off the sex registration list a little bit easier with the right lawyers. Ding, 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 ding. Like, what's going on here? Like, what kind of, are they pulling more bamboozlement? Are they pulling more bamboozlement? Right under your nose? Right under your nose. Right under your nose. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. And there's some other stuff, of other issues that he has, and he's apparently from San Francisco or something like that, or he's in that district or whatever. Member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors from District 8. Apparently. Yeah, he's a Democrat. He represents the 11th Senate District, encompassing San Francisco and parts of San Mateo County. So, I mean, he's like, I don't know how much more liberal you can get, but I think, as a society, we got to think like, okay, where does the buck stop with this stuff? Because like I said, if you're an adult gay person and you have consensual sex with other adult gay people, and you want to get married with another adult gay person, it's consensual, whatever, both agree, whatever, I think that's or if you're a gay person and you want to have equal pay or whatever, I mean, I think we could all kind of see like, okay, well, as an American, there's individual rights, but we're talking about laws that are impacting the sex offender list, that are, other genders, genitalia, HIV, lowering that shit, so the felony to a misdemeanor. I mean, I don't. What are we doing with that? If you knew you had HIV and you were, you gave it to somebody else knowingly, and the penalties are lowered, does that sound right to you? I don't know, man. I don't. What? Okay, so that's kind of concluding this video. That's a thought rant. It's a long thought rant. Thank you for watching this video. Now, I know this controversial topics. So if just look at it and discuss it, put in the comments. Is this the right direction that we need to be going? At what point does the buck stop with this stuff? That's kind of the question. I mean, that's why we need to discuss as a people. They if they're just passing shit under our nose and we're not voting for this shit, then what? Where's that democratic process at? Like, what's going on here? If they put this shit on a bill where you can vote for it, I think I would feel more comfortable with that. At least we can at least we have a say. But if, like I said, if they're just passing this shit like that, because I didn't know about any of this shit until I saw a video on Recall Gavin Newsom, the governor, right? The 145, he was like, yeah, and Gavin Newsom decided what? And then I was like, what? Sex offender? What? Pedophilia catching up? So that's when I started looking at that. So I'm a Californian. I'm an independent, okay? Just so you guys know. And I'm gonna say, look, if there is a recall Gavin Newsom, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I mean, he signed that 145, or yeah, the one that I just told you, making it a bill. And I'm not the biggest fan of Gavin Newsom, to be honest with you. There's a lot of things that I don't agree with what he did. Because you know what I'm saying, a lot of questionable things. So if this triggers you, this 145, if this sets the alarm bell and you don't like it, and you're like, you know what, we got to start changing the guard here. There is a website, Recall Newsom 2020 or Gavin 2020, whatever. It's going to be in the description, and you could click on that website. They got a petition to recall the governor. Maybe we could find a way to get rid of this Wiener guy. But anyways, if you want to do something, that's probably one of the best ways to do it, because at least we can change our elected officials, and yeah. So there it is, guys. That's a thought rant. If you like these types of videos, it's called Thought Rants. That's what I do. It's a playlist on my channel. I do other stuff. I do music stuff, but this is an outlet for me to say what's on my mind, things that I'm thinking about, and some of it's political, some of it's like, I don't know, philosophical or whatever. But sometimes if I don't say anything, if people don't say anything and people don't get the word out and discuss it and try to work on it, then what are we doing? I mean, I don't want to just be like, have other people decide, how they're going to get placed on the fucking sex offender list without me actually knowing how they get placed on the sex offender list. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as a society, I mean, shouldn't we know about that shit? All right. Thank you for watching. If you like these videos, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. There's thought rants, so there'll be more here. And if there's things that you want me to look into it, so I could put my opinion on it, and you want to hear my opinion, let me know, and I'll check it out. Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye. Who made